specialist for new home buyers. When you are new, you try harder. We go the extra mile to make it happen for you. We know everything a new home buyer needs to know. We will secure a home loan that suits your circumstances. This is a good time to buy your first home with grants, stamp duty, and build a discount savings of up to $100,000. Get your pre-approval now. Contact us on 0466 110 995 or visit blessmoney.com.au. Honey, let's get in touch with Bless Money.
Namaste and hello, this is Rajendra from Rajendra. Today we are here with a special topic, how diaspora can help the motherland. And I have two special guests today, Manakesi and Rajbhandary. I'll come back to you with the introduction in a while. I just wanted to talk to you about the purpose of our show today. As you know, there's about 100,000 Nepalese people living in Australia at the moment. They're spread all over Australia. Most of them, they live in Sydney and Melbourne. And we are proud to say that most of the Nepalese people in Australia are doing very well. When you look at their social status, probably they are in the higher income bracket. A lot of them are in professional jobs and they are earning good income. While we've been living in Australia for so many years, most of us, we still have connection with Nepal, and we want to contribute to Nepal in some way possible. So that's why I've got two guests here. They're from two different walks of life. They've been here for over 2 decades, and they've been building their career in Australia. At the same time, they've been helping the Nepalese community and also our folks back home. So let me introduce Rajbhandary first. So Rajendra actually is an architect by profession, right, Rajendra?
Oh.
So he actually came to Australia in 1994.
93.
93? Yeah, sure. I came here actually in 1994, so he came here a year before me. Yeah. Before coming here, he had already worked in Nepal as an architect for about 12 years.
That's right.
Right. He came to Australia as a skilled migrant, and since then he's had many top positions in the field of architecture, and at the moment he's actually working as a senior building surveyor.
Yeah, that's right.
For the City Council.
Sydney City Council.
Yeah, and he also holds a master's degree in urban and regional planning. Okay, yes. Right, sure. So today we'll learn from Rajendra about how he built his life in Australia, and with his experience, how we can learn from his knowledge and experience as a way of knowledge transfer that we can, do to actually help our people back home in Nepal as well. And Manakesi, he's a well-known figure in the Nepalese community. I don't think there is any Nepalese who came here in the 1990s and 2000s who doesn't know him. He has been working as a community leader for many years. He was also the founding president of NRNA, which is Non-Resident Nepalese Association. And he actually is a successful businessman. He owns a number of education training providers, and also he has a business in Nepal. So he's one of those people who have been successful in helping Nepalese people both in Australia and overseas, right? In fact, he is my colleague from university as well. We went to uni together. We did an MBA at CKU, right?
Yes, we did.
So I would like to welcome both of you to our discussion.
Thank you.
So to start our discussion, I would like to ask you both. Let me start with Rajendra. Do you still have connection with Nepal? I mean, since you've been here for like 25, 26 years, do you feel more Australian now than Nepali?
First of all, thank you for having us here. I couldn't reject your invitation.
Sure. I know you're a publicly shy person, yeah.
So as far as whether I feel more Nepali or Australian, I think it's a bit of both. And being a Nepali or an Australian is becoming irrelevant nowadays because we are a global community now.
Yeah.
Nepalese are everywhere. So I feel a bit part of everything, to be honest with you. So there's nothing special about. One does not override the other. I'm equally Nepalese as well as Aussie.
Right. Okay.
So that's how I feel.
So are you more like a banana, like yellow from outside, white inside?
Not really. I mean, is that how you? Why do you say that? I didn't.
I mean, you're like, I know you said you are a global citizen, but at the same time, you said you're both Australian and Nepali.
Yes, and also a bit of American also because we've got family there.
Yeah. Okay.
And when my in-laws were in US, I used to joke with my friends, "Mero sasarali to America."
Right.
If I had to go to sasarali, I had to go to America. So what I'm trying to say is Nepalese are spread all over the world.
Yep.
Being Nepali doesn't necessarily mean people living in Nepal. It could be anywhere in the world.
Yes.
We went to South America. We went to a place in Peru, Santiago. There were over 200 Nepalese. We were so surprised.
Yeah, like who would expect Nepali would be living in a South American country like Peru?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And they speak Spanish, and they're like South Americans look a bit like Nepalese, so they kind of blend in as well. So.
Okay, right, that's good. How about you, Manji? Like, do you feel more Australian or Nepali now?
Manji, look, I second to a lot of things Rajendra you said, and look. By heart, always Nepali. There's no question about that. When I dream those little nightmares, I always see the places where I grew up and that little, pond next to it, the river that we did swim, all those things. They can't be replaced. Doesn't matter. Like we've been everywhere. Almost most famous places in the world, but I never see in my dreams those places, big tall buildings, 5-star hotels we stayed. Never, but always the place that we did grow up. So by heart, no question. By responsibility, as you said, we wear all multiple hats at different times. Kids born, raised here, they Australian Nepalese, they say proudly they are. And then, as their parents, we have to wear the hat of being Australian when we deal with in Nepal. No, don't wear this. Don't talk like this. Probably, we were raised in that environment. We can't even pronounce those things in here. So we wear the hat of being mainstream Australian. Workplace, of course, we mainstream Australians. We pay taxes. We got that social responsibility, corporate social responsibility, all those things. When it comes to the diaspora and then the Nepali community and all that. So all the time that we doing probably more things than we would have done in any normal circumstances if we were back in Nepal. Like they say, "Maiti desko kukur paro," we were not back home. And then because of that, probably the sense of responsibility is even bigger and even greater.
Yeah, exactly.
So multiple hats in multiple occasions in both places. If there was a match between Nepal and Australia, would have been a bit of a dilemma. That doesn't happen that often. But in any other
the Nepalese cricket team is really doing well these days, especially the junior team. So if they come here and they play against Australia, who will you be supporting?
Look, if in Australia, of course Nepal. There's no question about that. Remember that the game between Australia and Nepal in Canberra? Everyone were chanting Nepal. Right? But if it did happen in third place, like in US and Nepal and Australia, probably would be in one side silent and being happy in both sides, right?
You'll have to judge the crowd and go along with
them. But if in Australia, we would back up Nepal. I mean, just the human psychology, the Indian team plays with Australia. They're all Indians backing up. It's not to say they don't love Australia, the Australian way and everything. They're not loyal or anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's just the way it is, just the human kind.
Yeah, exactly. Even I feel the same actually. I know like we're all very loyal to Australia because Australia's given us so much. We've been here for so many years. We came here with almost nothing, and now we have kind of climb up the social ladder as well. Become successful business people and professional. But recently, these days, I've been going to Nepal every few years, and I don't know, somehow like I have a stronger connection to Nepal, maybe because of my parents and friends back home who are also doing well. And also in the past, Nepal was really in a poor state, due to political disturbances. There was no electricity, no water, but things are changing there as well. So now I feel like maybe this is time where we should also think about going there and doing something to help our motherland. Right? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Sure. So Manji, I want to come to you because you've been such a great social worker. And you were also a founding president of NRNA. Like, can you just tell us about your journey as an NRNA president, like how you became the president, and what did you do, and what were the fruitful outcomes of your contribution?
What took me that path is just the human nature. Like, we all creatures of our own habit, and there are likes and dislikes of our own. There's no right and wrong in that. As far as I'm concerned, back in the college days as well, when I was in Nepal, I always liked the company of any friends around, and mixing, mingling, and making noises, positive noises, of course. I would never have time to go and criticize others for no reason, or doing wrong thing, or being violent, those kind of things. We were never into it. But something creating good for the society, doing some positive impact, even earlier on it started. Came to Australia in 1996, we started, 1990, there was a forum, there it is still there, like I think it's almost approaching 25 years, Nepalese Australian Democratic Forum. It was just like an intellectual forum type thing where people could meet and exchange ideas and talk about mostly about Nepal, or even here, like mostly we were in a student or some like transitioning into profession. Even though we were all professionals back home, but when we came into new place, we had to start from ground zero. It was kind of venting out some experiences and exchanging ideas. That's how we started. Back in 2004-05, so this global movement started, the diaspora movement. Back in Nepal, 2003, the first global conference took place of all the diaspora Nepalese everywhere around the world. And it is a flow-on effect in Australia as well. We were already in the social front doing different things, whatever we could do. And in 2005, Indra Didi, I must remember, Indra Didi, Deepak Kharkadai, who is the Consul General as well now. The Upendra Mahato was the global founding president from Russia, Dr. Upendra Mahato. He contacted them, and then we, there is one of the friends, Sudeep Karki, he had been to Nepal as well in 2003 convention. And then they came and approached me. Look, this is something new has come to the table. We should start doing that. And there was a growing opposition in local society, like, why another organization? 3-4 we already have, and now we got 300 plus Australia.
Yeah, I know. There's like organization for every community, every caste.
Which year was that?
This was 2004. At that time, we had 4 or 5 known prominent organizations in Sydney. In Australia, we had NAB and a few others. But then people were talking about, particularly Indra Didi's experience. Everyone were opposing, shouldn't be doing that another way. Then she came and approached me, and I said, no, Didi, we should do this. This I truly believe in, because look, diaspora every day after 1990s movement in Nepal, people are going. It's a one global world. The global citizenship is happening, and then as the diaspora size grows, there has to be a mechanism. One, to tie them up together, and so it strengthens, and then exchanging ideas, promoting our culture, heritage outside of Nepal, and then some connection back home. And I truly believe in this cause. We should give this a go. And then I got into it, and then we started making noise, the positive noise around everyone. And then I think it was in Aspel Park, 2005 February. We pretty much informed everywhere, all the organizations of that time and people. And then okay, let's explore the possibility of doing this and which way to go. We started ad hoc committee back there in February 2005. I just wanted to move the cause and then not quite be in the leadership, let others do it.
Right.
But then when you kind of start stirring up and then people, no, you should, then people, like all the friends, everyone pushed me, you should lead. And then I happened to be the coordinator of that.
So you wanted to lead
committee.
from behind.
I wanted to do that initially because my children were just born and I was the initial
so you have family
days of
commitments.
settling up, had so many. But then people were, no, you should be leading. Then I said, okay, all right. When I came back home, and I had like a 3 months old child at home, no family support, nothing. What did I do? What responsibility? Oh my God! It felt like kind of a heavy load carrying on in the children. But when you are trusted, interested to do something, then you can't let them down, right? So I felt that, and then we started driving. 2005 in July, we had the first national convention in Australia. Then again, I wanted to kind of transfer the leadership.
Right.
Again, same thing happened. The other friends, no, you can't get away. You should do it. Then okay. So I happened to take that responsibility of the presidency as well. 2005-07, we did some very good, innovative things. Like we introduced the Australian diaspora has always been very strong in the global forefront. We did so many. We introduced so many innovative things like this Nepal festival. Now all major cities around the world, Nepal festival is there. We started in Sydney, in Darling Harbour, right in Darling Harbour. At that time, someone gave $50. We saluted them. Now there was a competition to give $35,000 sponsorship. We had 3 contestants, and everyone wanted to give that. How much the community had changed. At that time, $50. We admired them so much. Someone contributed $50. We still had a big budget, like $117,000 we raised in the fest. You were there, we invited all community from all cross section of the community because we wanted to take that wider ownership. We wanted everyone to feel I belong to it, I did it.
Get everybody involved.
Exactly. So that, and then so many other things, no, it should not be Sydney-centric, one place-centric, because there's a diaspora organization, Australia-wide, let's do that. Even in the global one, that concept was not there. Okay. We did that. So
they just use us as a template.
Exactly. We distributed, delegated, decentralized the leadership, and so many other things. The true few causes that I had, I used to give example in the initial days, going back home. You don't want to be in a situation where you arrive in Kathmandu airport and Nepal immigration, and then you happen to be in the other side of immigration, and your children, they have to wait there, and then because they can't get in or things like that. Imagine that scenario. So a lot of emotions were connected to it, and the reason that I believed in this cause. And the second thing is we are indebted to our back home, right? That's the place we grew up. We were born, raised, we went to school. They invested in us. The country invested in us.
Right.
And then if people like us who are privileged, right, who are elite for that society, if we don't grow that, nurture that feeling of we have to give back, then who will? So place will dry up. So that was another, and there were different causes. To date, probably we spent thousands and thousands and thousands of hours over the years, which in a place like this, where you get paid hourly, and you get paid decently hourly, we could have just invested that for ourselves. But that's a choice. No one forced. Right. It's what you like. Sure. And then I never regret for it. And not just me, like him, many people out in the society and around the globe doing these kind of things.
Right.
And then,
sure. But recently, the organization that you actually established with your network then, and now after 15, 20 years.
Absolutely.
Do you think it has lost a bit of direction? Rajendra, are you a member of NRNA?
I don't think I'm a member.
Yeah. Is there any reason why you haven't become a member?
Not necessarily.
I'm not a member too.
I just haven't become a member. I don't have any particular reason, but I know about, and you've done it's a noble cause. I congratulate you for that. That's really great what you've done. Just to listen to what you've said, you've spent so many hours, and that's congratulations. That's hats off to you.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I don't have any particular reason, but I don't think I'm a member.
I'm not blaming anyone, but the thing is, like, it seems like the NRNA at the moment is not addressing the interest of common people. Yeah. It's become more like a business club. That's what people legit,
Yeah.
So I think it's become a little bit more bureaucratic. I think. I don't know who's involved in NRNA at the moment, but I think it has to change itself a little bit so that it can accommodate everyone in the community.
Yeah.
In doing so, probably one of the things they can do is make English the official language, because now we're not just talking about our generation Nepalese. There's also the second generation Nepalese, like your son, your daughter, who may not be so comfortable conversing in English.
Absolutely.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I think they have to somehow bring them on board as well. The second generation. There's so many kids out there, who wants to know more about Nepal. And also, do you think that one of the aim of NRNA is should be to actually also be able to lobby the Australian government for our benefit?
Oh, absolutely.
Right, and not just focus on linking, the diaspora with Nepal, but also, as you said, there are so many sponsors who wants to sponsor these Nepalese events. They want to do it because now Nepali community is a big community, it's a huge population. It's got strong marketing power, now. A lot of companies want to sponsor. They want to get into the Nepalese market to sell their products.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think we can work on that area as well.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Look, to the first part, what you mentioned, has it lost its esteem, sense of direction? I agree to a greater extent to that. Like in the initial days, I regard those as golden days. I mean, when you are small, you can contain, you can manage well.
Yeah.
That's one part, particularly in a volunteer organizations like this, right? If you throw a question to a mass, okay, how Nepal should be developed? That we Nepalese, we like talking, we like exchanging ideas. We can get thousands, people jumping into it. Who wants to be first to do it?
Responsibility.
Then you'll find a silence there.
Right.
Just as an example.
Yes.
Right. We just human creatures. Nothing right or wrong.
Yep.
We run meetings. Like now, NRNA is scattered around 82 countries. 82 countries. We got like a good organized organization.
And you're all interlinked.
Interlinked. Yeah. There's a ICC, International Coordination Council. Then we got multi-level, the management structures, all volunteer, of course. And even in national, within Australia, we got 229 people in the elected positions.
Right.
Right. We got the national body, we got the state bodies, and then we got the youth section, the women's, and the literature, you name it. Professional, scientific.
So it's become like too many cooks spoil the broth, too much bureaucracy already.
That's right. One reason. I mean, from day one, we always wanted the widespread ownership and involvement. No question about that.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the whole effort. We never wanted to make it a boutique club of where limited people get access to. We didn't want it. We've been calling out for this, from day one. And in the initial days, relatively easier as well, because like I said, the people came in 90s or early 2000 in Australia. Most people would know us, we would know each other.
True.
2006, 7, 8, 9, you look at, big mass came.
Yes.
And then another wave came 16, 17, 18.
Yep.
Those ones, a lot of those, the 16, 17, 18s, these people were born after we left Nepal, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? They Gen, whatever they call Gen Y or Gen Z, right? For them, we are their parents' age.
Yes.
Our likings are totally different. We all Nepalese, yes, but like at home, our children's likings and our likings are not the same. And they say it, and we should admit it.
Yeah, true.
We just have to reconcile. We are probably the last generation to still hear from our parents and to hear our kids as well. The generation after that would be a bit different.
Yeah.
So taking all that into account and being the very voluntary nature of it, yes, it has kind of challenges ahead. Challenges in the sense how to make more and more diversified groups into bring them into it and give them the ownership, the sense of belongingness and all that. We constantly explore the ideas, we exchange ideas. Like we just completed one global knowledge convention where we had more than 1,000 clean brains from around the world. They all, like you name it, professors, lecturers, startup scientists, engineers, medical professionals. We just had COVID, more than 1,000 medical professionals led by doctors and nurses, around the globe. They did tremendous job. They're still doing that. In Australia, we have that ANMDA, Australian Nursing and Medical Dentist Associations. They're doing beautiful jobs.
Right.
Our volunteers during COVID time, they were not caring about their own safety and lives. They were kind of reaching out to those.
They're doing research
people.
or they're
No. I mean,
generating reports?
They're doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
Research, dissemination of information,
and then passing on to the relevant government.
Yes, government, non-government, international bodies. Even now, like ILO, the International Labour Organization, gave more than 500,000 to NRNA.
Yeah.
Because if the trust wasn't there, they wouldn't be doing that.
Right.
Because they can't reach out to the public, particularly in the Middle East where the workers
So
are.
ILO has given
Absolutely.
how much you said?
500,000.
Wow. US dollar.
So US dollar, and that's simply a symbolic thing that they trusted. They did not have reach out at the ground because in the Middle East, in Malaysia, and in Middle East countries, you can't even imagine how much the Nepali people are going through. The education level. Of course, there are elites as well, but there are so many people they can't even write a sentence. Forget about the laws of those countries and their rights. And the privileges as a worker, what they deserve. They don't know anything. They've been eroded, exploited. And then our people, volunteers out in the ground, they're helping, in at least countries like America, Australia, the diaspora here, we are protected by law. As soon as someone grounds in Sydney or Melbourne airport, they get the same rights as mainstream Australians. The law does not allow the discrimination. At least we are privileged in that sense. And things are easier here. Here, yes, we got people in all spans. They on research. I mean, they do. Government was relying us during this crisis, relying in our diaspora network to do so much because they got only limited access through the consulate offices or the diplomatic missions. But our volunteers are everywhere in the world. 114 countries, we got our volunteers in. So obviously, the diaspora's collective strength is there, no question about that. Right. Challenges are there. The challenges in the sense then when you grow in size, people of all kind of vested interest, get in. They jump in to the bandwagon.
So the one in the leadership have some kind of agenda,
isn't it? When things become interesting, in the initial days, our motive intention was how to involve more people. Now, in a way, we have involved as many people. Then the now challenge is shifting, and the challenge is how to attract and retain the good quality people that people can give it to others, not so much to get for themselves, whether it is in a financial terms, whether it is in a professional intellect terms, whether it is in a skill sharing terms. We want to attract as many people who are interested, who are passionate to give out, whether back to Nepal, whether to diaspora, whether to mentor others or coach others, skill transfer, give a heads up. That is the challenge now, and obviously we got to really redefine a lot of those things that what we did 10 years ago may not necessarily work in the same way in the current climate.
The goalposts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Changing goalpost. Yeah.
Like the network has become too big. Like it's not that easily manageable.
Absolutely.
And you said like there's so many good things happening too, but I think there is a communication issue. Maybe they need to, get that information out there so everyone knows that the good things happening as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Maybe they need like a PR person or something.
Absolutely.
Right. Let's leave NRNA for now. Like I think like one of the aim of this program that I had was to actually let people know how you can help Nepal as an individual.
Absolutely.
At a very small level. Like you don't have to be millionaire.
No.
Or you don't have to be really successful to actually help Nepal. In this day of globalization and online like business is booming, a lot of things can be done at an individual level as well. Like for example, about promoting Nepali language, there are a lot of older people, like people who retired back in Nepal, staying home, getting bored, depressed because most of them they have their grandchildren overseas.
Absolutely.
Can we use them to teach Nepali to our students?
What a brilliant idea.
In Australia through Zoom,
Yeah.
Ideas like this, I think we can implement. And I'm not sure whether you know about this guy. I think he was running some cleaning business in Australia. He went to Nepal, and then he took a contract for cleaning the airport. And he completely changed the face of Tribhuvan International Airport.
Yeah.
Right, so he wasn't a millionaire. Like he just had the know-how. He went there for holiday, and he spent a few days, and implemented all those cleaning techniques.
Absolutely.
Right, and then he got so much media attention, and it was an example for everyone. And I take him as an inspiration as well.
Absolutely.
All right.
True.
I want to come to you, Rajendra. You are a very successful architect as well, and you actually been here for so many years.
Yes.
Like you can also help Nepal in some ways, and I'm sure you're already doing a lot of stuff through Help Nepal, right? Do you have any such ideas? Like
I can share my personal experiences. On a personal level, what we did was when my parents were back home, we had a nurse. I think she was a widow, and she had 3 daughters. So we paid her salary, but we also wanted to help her family, her children, get good education. So on top of her salary, we said we'll educate your daughters.
Right.
The family got together. My brothers are in the US and some are in Nepal. So we took care of her directly. So our interest was that she will look after our parents with more, sincerity, because it's not only us. We're making sure our daughters are well educated, and they've gone through college and they're educated now. So, and we've done a couple of that along similar grounds. The other way we're doing is we have. I'm St. Xavier 75 batch. We have a group called Friends for Service.
Right.
And we contribute anywhere from 10,000 to 50,000 to lakhs. We pool our money together,
right,
and somebody takes the reign to help out whichever organization or whichever way, and they come up with an idea, share with everybody, and everybody inputs. And just now recently, they provided some books to a school somewhere near, not Pokhara, but on the way to Pokhara from Kathmandu. So that's one, and that's really on a personal level.
Right.
And we also have other organizations, social organizations, informal social organizations, where every 2 months we gather, and then we pull in money again. So not only we have fun, the same idea, we pull in money, and everybody takes turn to target or design his own, whichever entity they want to help.
Right.
So, and apart from that, my experience has been with local organizations who come for help. Even Nepalese diaspora here, that people meet with some emergency, death, sickness, and we certainly contribute. We have different social groups. Yeah. We come together and just pull our money and pool our money and then contribute.
Right.
So that's how we've been doing, and Help Nepal, of course, they're on an upper scale, another scale, whereas there's Help Nepal. I always, right up from the start when this was institutionalized in Australia, I've been contributing, I've been attending their functions and helping them out that way. So that is my personal experiences in terms of helping out. And as I said before, of course you want to help people back home in Nepal. It's because we have our sentimental values where we grew up, but we don't discard that people here also need help. We're living here.
Sure.
We have to.
Yeah, I think it's quite surprising Nepalese, to know that even Australians are under the kids, so many kids go to school hungry every day.
And it's a good feeling. You help anybody in need. Yeah. We're human beings. As I said, global citizens. And it's only a political boundary. This is where you're.
Yeah.
But people move around.
Sure.
So, but nonetheless, we still have our sentimental values in the place where you grew up, and things as we know is getting better in Nepal. It's not as it used to be when we left,
I think not many people are under the line of poverty in Nepal as well. Like in China, I think even though the government of Nepal is not that useful, I think the people have the living class has gone up, status, living style. At the same time, in Nepal, there are still a lot of organizations which help poor people, and they are actually crying out for donations because previously there were a lot of Western donors, right? But as you know, Western countries are not doing very well as well. Look at US, they've become like a third world country now with the COVID and the political disturbances, right? And even Europe, a lot of people are losing jobs. The economy is not doing so well. So the money from those countries have actually kind of stopped coming into Nepal. So I think if we can help them from here, it'd be good. But having said that, personally, what I feel is, I think just helping people by giving money is not good.
That's right. Yeah.
There's a saying: if you give a person a fish, he will not go hungry for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, he will not go hungry for life.
Self-reliance.
Yeah. So I think we should be teaching them skills.
Absolutely.
And imparting our knowledge to them so that they can be more entrepreneurial. They can do something. Manji, do you have any ideas in terms of knowledge transfer? What can we give them from here?
Oh, absolutely. You just said it in the coincidence. We have, in an institutional level, we have a department called the Skill, Knowledge and Technology Transfer Department. We do a lot of things in
from NRNA.
Yeah, from and I head that department at the moment in the global, as a global PV. But in individual level, when you I think you are more interested into how one individual who is not part of any organization, not anything, how they can make
I know some Australians.
That's right.
They go there in Nepal just for fun, and then and they love Nepal so much.
Yeah.
And they actually living in Nepal for 6 months to a year.
Absolutely.
And they're helping farmers do beekeeping, or the organic farming. Like some people teach them how to do fisheries,
Absolutely.
But with Nepali, I think haven't started doing that yet.
So many examples. There's one group of Rotarians from Shenzhou's area in the Ramsgate area. They went to Nepal and they came in contact with this women's group in Hetauda.
Yeah.
And then they've been engaged in, they run like a microfinance, then where they, do like a once a year, a little bit of fundraising activity in here, where in a gala dinner, everyone chucks in a little bit of money, and with that money they go. One is Nepal for holidays is a good place. That's, you feel good, Palong Tar, Hetauda, wherever you go, that greenery, that mountain, it's so much healing, just to drive around in the road.
Right.
You don't have to be in the plane either. I don't like being in the plane. I like, the outdoor driving. It's so good. They go there and then they simply give money to buy a goat. Those women, think of a women who are not educated, who are backward, laid back, they got no income, any other income revenue stream. They get a goat in a finance. They have to their responsibility to raise it and then breed more, and then when they're able, they slowly pay back the original so that that money can be used towards someone else. How hard it is, I mean, one goat, I don't know, like probably $100, not even that, right? Anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Anyone can do it from an individual level. And then, like you said, not so much fishing, not so much milk, it's milking. And then there's an Australian breed happening in Nepal. I forgot the name, but it's so like it gives like 80 kilo, 100 kilo, you know, that one goat.
Yeah.
And then if they can breed, one goat can be sold for as much as more than 100,000 rupees. Can you imagine how many goats they could look after? Those not educated ones, they just, you know, helpless type, moneyless people. Yeah. They can look after easy 10, 20, 30, 40, right?
All right.
And then all of a sudden they could be self-reliant, independent, and who can help anyone at home, you know, like who have got that thinking. If they want this kind of contact, obviously any of us, we could facilitate that contact. We can tie, like, you know, make them each other in contact. The money doesn't have to flow through us. They can directly, you know, they can in 10 minutes, they can transfer any money. They can, you know, I mean, they would be so obliged for their whole life, you know, towards them. Feel good factor, right? That charity will feel. That's one example. The other things, in any school you go to, government schools, it doesn't have to be even in the rural village areas, even in main outskirts of Kathmandu, any government school, people cannot go to school simply because they don't have reasonable clothing. Or the women's, like, you know, the 8 year, 9 year, 10 girls, 11, 12, you know, when they go in the menstrual period, they can't afford to buy those pads, right? Simply because out of humiliation, they can't afford to go to school. They can't tell that why they're not going to school to their parents, because parents would not accept that, right? They can't tell the teachers because it is considered as, you know, they don't have good manners. I mean, right? That's how it's treated, the society treats that. And then the easy solution, just giving up the school. That's happening every day, right? Individual level, anyone watching and listening this program, they can sponsor one child to go to school. How much? If $1 a day, $365, that means now nearly almost 35,000 rupees. That can send like a high school student or any level school student who would otherwise had to give up schooling. Simply, how hard it is, $1 a day. If there is a will, there is a way. And we can facilitate that without $1 of there being used. The money does not have to flow through us. We can, you know, give list of people that who would appreciate that kind of help. Right? We can teach our children, the second generation, you know, like, you know, you money from your tiffin or whatever, $1 a day, I give you money just to develop that charitable passion on them to our children, because we Nepalese, we are giving nature. That's what our parents taught us, right? We are very spiritual nature. It doesn't matter, spiritual doesn't have to be any god, a specific god, right? It could be any religion or no religion. People could be no religion but could still be spiritual, that helping, you know. That
actually,
I just had an interesting point on that. Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
There's a young, I think it's a girl, young Nepalese girl, who is collecting bottles, you know, empty bottles. You get 10 cents. So her main objective is not money enough for her, but whatever remittance she gets out of that, it goes to some student in Nepal.
Absolutely.
So
she's collecting bottles in Australia.
That's right.
You get 10 cents.
10 cents, yes.
Okay.
She's not doing for own benefit, but she's doing it for charity.
That's right.
So people can
and
come
it's good for the environment too.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly.
Like I said, it's a it's not so much the tangible money. It is what we see here every day, to and from work, to and from a school, is a everyday taken for granted thing for us. Simply, this is how things are done. Sharing that experience over there could make a big deal as well. People got money, little bit of money. People got skills, they could transfer skills. People got that leadership skill to kind of organize many people who can give 50 cents a day or even 10 cents a day. they can use their leadership skills to motivate and influence other for the good thing.
Yep.
Obviously, children can do it. People of any age can do it. And one of the beautiful things he said is, I was not even thinking that way. Like all our retirees back home in Nepal, they got nothing. I mean, yes, they got plenty thing, but if someone gives them a good reason to do something, and then with the help of technology, Zoom and technologies like this, they could actually volunteer their time for free for all our second generation kids around the world. How good would that be? We talk about culture and language
and our kids can pay them dakshina, voluntary reward too.
Absolutely.
They might have some dollar income at the same time.
And then someone, Narayan Mainalaji, who was our second man in charge in our embassy when it opened here in Australia back in 2007, he's still in contact, and he was calling me probably last month. He always used to talk about, let's do, these ABC Kids and Wiggles and all that, how they became the global companies. There is no other stronger diaspora than our Nepalese diaspora. Ours one is the strong. We may be the tiny little country over there with a smaller population. We are as big as the Australian population, but in terms of the diaspora's strength, we are the strongest. Meaning, like someone died back in 1990, you would remember that time our diaspora was very weak and small and financially not stable. We raised 21,000 in 3 days.
Yep.
I was a student at that time. Right? I mean, at that time we were doing MBA.
Yeah.
We raised 21,000 back in '99. The community size was very small because we are giving nature. And then that makes us we are interested in these type of things, to help each other, being connected to each other like that. So he was saying, he said charity. I said, let's do it as a business. Why? Because charity, we're doing that everywhere, every day anyway. If it is as a
Even
business,
if you do like non-profit, you got to have some business aimed actually. As they say, the business of business is business,
You know how a lot of people say, when they say business, like there was an interview. I was one of the panels as well there. When Ravi Lamichandji was there. And then someone asked question to another panelist, and he said, education is
business, and everyone laughing
like that. And I took that point. Hey, listen, education can be a business. Anything wrong with that? Charity is a business. We know big charities out here. Red Cross, it's a business. If it can't,
and the Red Cross CEOs, they get paid like $3 million a year in salary, which is actually very.
Can you imagine if Red Cross does not operate as a business? It can be sustainable. There is a revenue. There is a revenue.
Motivation
minus expenses is called a profit, and profit is what makes them grow and sustain.
That's the motivation,
isn't it? And that's the motivation.
And also, when it comes to us helping Nepal, it has to be there has to be mutual benefit too. We can't just be saying like we got to donate money, or we got to help our folks back home by sending them something. I think if we make it more like a mutual beneficial, for us as well. For us as well. Then it will be actually really good for both parties, right? So for us to make that happen, I think we need dual citizenship. You think so?
Oh yeah, it's happening. We are doing as much as we could and we should. Like as an organization, as individuals.
But why is the Nepalese government agreeing to that request?
No, they have agreed. The new constitution was written in 2072. Now Dr. Sesigali Shrestha was president. I was the spokesperson at that time. The diaspora, we played this is the beauty of the united strength. If one person goes, you get bullied around. 2 people, 10, 100 go, they get bullied around, go away. But when all of a sudden 80 lakh, the strength of 80 lakh, that's how big our diaspora is around the world now. We are bailing out the economy. Back in 2011, 2012, those days, if you remember, the checks used to get bounced back in all the major banks in Nepal. There was no money. People like us working hard outside of Nepal. The dollar went because of us. Not one person, not 2 people, all the diaspora, And then that's how. So, yes, 2072, the new constitution in Nepal, that has got a new category of citizenship. It's called NRNA citizenship. Gairavasia Nepali Nagarita. That is already in Constitution. One in Constitution is not up to the politician. I don't want to give you now.
Okay.
Constitution.
So it has to be implemented.
Exactly. So now where is it? Is the new act, Gairavasia Nepali Nagarita Sambandhi Ain, NRNA Citizenship Act, is being formulated. I mean, it's almost ready. If the parliament wasn't dissolved, it was being tabled on that week.
Okay.
Right. So the act and then the regulation then comes in the practice table. So it is in the Constitution already. A lot of people, like you said, the very first thing in the beginning, we all diaspora, the NRNA as well, have done a lot of hard work. But what we haven't done is we haven't marketed the work, right?
Yeah, you need a communications manager.
90% of the diaspora people who would be the ultimate beneficiary of that citizenship, the NRNA citizenship, do not know that has already been done.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know that.
The results will speak for itself. So
right?
That's right. That'll be your.
So when can it happen? It is not, of course, it is the bigger problem than ours. Ours, we want that. That's one side of problem. But the bigger problem is now the parliament has been dissolved because only the parliament has got the right to make that act. But the main thing is, the act can be made by parliament any day.
Okay.
Right? What was happening in Nepal is 2072, the constitution came, and then because the whole constitution was new, they had to make all the act in everything, you name it, in the education and health, in every sector of the constitution, they had to make. So, formulate the act, go pass to take the bill in the parliament, pass it, then becomes law, then make the regulation like that, all the processes were. Nagarita, the citizenship, was one of the most sensitive things. Not because of they had to give citizenship to the Nepalese people living outside. I mean, this was sensitive issue in some day, back in the days of beginning when we started talking, but not anymore. After the constitution, everyone started shutting up, right? Because, I mean, in the political consensus, all parties agreed they had to give it.
Yep.
The more sensitivity came from like the India side of things, like India-Nepal border, the cross marriages, this, that, who to give, who not to give. That was more like a debatable subject. But because the whole package was getting presented together, that kind of dragged our issue as well a little bit. But our issue and their issue is separate. The NRNA citizenship is one of the 5 categories of citizenship in new constitution of Nepal that was written in 2072. So it's going to come.
Okay. So it's really good to know that that's happening. Not just the dual citizenship, how about we fighting for our, restricted voting rights as well? Like, Greeks, Italians, they live in Australia, they could still vote back home. As you know, in Nepal, it seems like they say, like, you get the politician you deserve. Most of the educated, smart people are overseas, like you and you. And our folks back home, they always seem to elect the wrong government,
Absolutely.
Right. So if we have some voting right from here, maybe we can also help them choose the right politicians,
That is one of the things that we have lobbied for always. The human tendency,
maybe
when you ask like this much, then you may not get anything because the opposition is so much. So you have to, even though you wanted this much, but you had to kind of at least get this much in first, like secure that and then go for more. The reason that we have been able to secure the citizenship in the new constitution is not because so much of only few people. Of course, the people in the leadership, they had to act, they had to be the commanding, they had to convince, they had to sell. They did it. We all did it, right? But we would not have been able to sell that until and unless the diaspora itself was strong enough, right? Because we would have sold like Rajendra Shrestha, who is one of the award-winning architects here. We would have sold what you've done. We would have sold what other people have done. Like our community is strength, diaspora is strength. In many different countries, we got award-winning scientists. We got like Professor Shrestha, the advisors foreign governments in there. We got Kumud Dhital, who was the first surgeon to transplant the heart of the dead person. We would have sold the credibility of those people as a diaspora in package. If we got these many strong people that cream brains, wealthy people who went empty-handed with a suitcase and created their wealth, became billionaires, millionaires. Then they can definitely do good for our country if we were to connect them, and their generation would still be interested to invest in Nepal, to do charitable work in Nepal, to skill transfer in Nepal, and Nepal would benefit. We had to sell it in that way, right? So in the same note, when the citizenship has been secured now and only the act and the regulation has to roll out, so another thing that we've been loving is what you said, the voting right. Yes, it should be there 100%, because our vote would be the most conscientious vote, most educated the vote, right? As opposed to, look, how many Sabasad parliaments out of 601 parliaments, like Gagan Thawaji, last time he was here, he was making joke, they talk about how many Laino voices you got at home, being in that question time in the 0 hour. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but hey, you are trusted there to be one of the parliamentarians, with the trust that you would do those high-level things, those worthy things to build the nation, to do good things, not to talk about your domestic affairs. You could have talked in somewhere else, not getting paid with the Parliament Alliance and being trusted and leader of people to talk those. So those challenges are there. Like what you said is right. The diaspora's vote, I think it would do good. Not only that, I strongly believe the diaspora people should represent in the politics in Nepal as well. Like that, we should actually aim for NRN ministry. Like, I'm not talking about NRNA. NRNA and NRN is different thing. NRN is simply diaspora, non-resident Nepali, anyone living outside Nepal. As opposed to NRNA is organization, right? People don't necessarily need to be member or in leadership of NRNA. They're NRNs anyway. When the citizenship rolls out, everyone gets it, whether they're member or not, no member. They're simply diaspora. Right? So the voting should be rolled out like that, and people interested in politics should participate in that as well.
That's your next step.
Yeah, absolutely.
One step at a time.
Absolutely, one step at a time. Yeah.
Right. So, I think these days, with the online work being possible, due to internet, and it's been growing, and because of COVID, it's become like the only option. You can't socialize, you can't go and work in a small confined space. So a lot of people are working online. I think this could be an opportunity for a country like Nepal.
Absolutely.
Right? I know it's not good for us here in Australia because a lot of jobs will get outsourced. But for a country like Nepal, where they have the technology these days, and they have electricity 24/7. They have the workforce. The young generation actually speak really good English.
Absolutely.
And they are qualified. I think a lot of our jobs can be sent overseas to Nepal if we want to help Nepal. That's a win-win strategy as well, right?
Absolutely.
So it's good for them, it's good for us. Honestly, like I myself in my business also, I do outsource quite a bit of work to Nepal.
Absolutely.
And I'm really happy with the work my team's doing over there.
Tell us about your
the work that you do. I work in recruitment, so there's a lot of admin work involved, like doing lead generation, contacting companies for job orders, reference checks, preparing resumes. All these things can be done in Nepal.
Are you happy with
the quality of work?
Yeah.
They're pretty good actually. They have the work ethics, and when you pay them in dollars, it makes them work harder because they can really make good money over there. Like some of my staff, they make 1.5, 2 lakhs a month, and they're just like university graduates. So this outsourcing is possible even in a very small level too. Like for example, if you're working as an architect here, and you can have a virtual assistant in Nepal. Just you can pay let's say $20,000 a month, a year, and you will have an architect in Nepal working for you. So who could basically job shadow with you. You can go out there and get really big contracts. And then all the design and everything, you give direction from here, and the person sitting in Nepal will use the software, design everything, and send it to you.
I'm sure this is happening in some shape or form.
Yeah.
People are doing already.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I know a few companies actually.
Yeah.
No, they're doing beautifully. In any industry is happening. In home loans, in legal. I used to talk this thing around 2005-06, and people, can you trust them? Really? That. At that time, because technology was poor, like load shedding used to kill it.
Yeah.
And then the internet wasn't fast enough.
Yeah.
But now, the fiber is there.
Yeah.
In some of the areas, internet is faster than in here.
Yeah, exactly.
Load shedding has gone away.
Yes.
And then, like you said, we got world-class graduates in Kathmandu,
Yes.
I mean, these people come here.
The young generation, like, the English is so good, like,
good.
much better than ours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they write very well, speak very well,
It's bound to happen. I mean, nature takes its own course, so it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Now, in Kathmandu, I think last time that I heard one presentation, that like when we started doing this, when I started getting things done, probably, I don't know, 15 years ago, you would have, done the same time, even before then. Like we would have been few, to count in the heads, to employ like that in the outsourced manner. But now it has been a norm. There are professional companies. I know few people employing 400, 500 people in the IT sector, in architect, in law firms, in home loans, and in a lot of other sectors. And we should actually promote that.
I know one Aji guy, like he has a team of 80 people working in Nepal doing home loans.
Home loans?
Yeah, and they're qualified mortgage brokers.
Yeah.
Because these days, everything can be done online. Even the courses they do as a mortgage broker. Yeah.
In our lifetime, we'll be able to see that where you will be sitting in your balconies, watching those mountains and the birds, the whistles, and then you could be working with the teams here or in New York from right in Nepal. We can do that right now, actually.
It is happening right now.
Correct?
COVID has forced us to do that. We are working from home nowadays.
Until 1 year ago, the mainstream bureaucracy population, if you said, let's meet it online, what? Like that. Yeah. Now all these ministers, next 5 minutes we're having Zoom meeting. Even in Nepal, there's something in the Zoom.
True.
Everyone is forced to.
Exactly. There's one of the other opportunity for Nepal is like tourism, right? Nepal is such a beautiful country. How can we help Nepal promote its tourism in Australia?
Well, for one, you could be visiting yourself.
Yeah,
with your family.
Exactly.
You take your short holidays there, and there are lots of places now, especially along the northern range, which I hear is very beautiful, and there are no facilities, lodging facilities, there's transportation facilities, flights. You can trek. I think that's one way of helping Nepal, and post them on Facebook. Your friends will see, local friends will see that they would want to go. Right? I think what's the impediment is the political situation in Nepal. Otherwise, it's people know about it, and left, right, and center. There are Nepalese. A lot of people here know about Nepal. Sometimes more than us. When it comes to tourist destinations.
Yeah, true. I think most of the Aussies they know.
That's right.
Yeah, only probably the ones who are not native, like Australians. Like I've seen people with like Mediterranean background. Probably they don't travel that much to that part of the world. They won't know because they're like us. They're also migrants. So whenever they have holidays, probably they go back to their own country. Right.
Yeah. The only thing I would like to add is we all want to help. It's a nice feeling when you can help somebody else. But in the context of Nepalese, we always have to look at self-reliance. It's going back to the point you made earlier. Teach a person to fish rather than giving him a fish. So I think we have to look from that aspect, and not only tourism, education, but other cottage industries, income generating activities. It's nowadays we hear a lot of people are going outside of the country and bringing in remittance, and that's how the country is running, basically. So regional development, that was the field that I studied, is quite complex actually. It's you've got to integrate so many factors.
Right.
It's a relation between rural areas with small towns, with big towns,
Yep.
Ecological sustenance. And Nepal being a rural country, it's the majority of the people. We can't only think of people living in the urban areas and educating them. If Nepal is to develop, it has to be the rural area has to develop.
Yes.
Because the majority of people are in the rural areas. Although it's now urbanized more, I think. We have to. What I'm trying to say is we have to look at that aspect as well: ecological sustenance, agriculture, and for anything to be reliable and sustainable, the local people must be involved. It's not good just going and giving them, okay, take this. And once they take it and it's gone, there's no maintenance, they have no incentive. So it has to be an integration of what they want, their desires. They have to be involved in that. And if we can dovetail into that and provide them that, then it becomes more sustainable for the long run, for the long term. So
Yeah, sure.
those are my thoughts. Yeah.
Right. So we need to educate them as well as, offer them help.
Yes, and when we say we help them, we kind of imply they don't know anything, that we're the ones who know we have to give. It's not like that. They have a lot of local knowledge, which we don't have.
Exactly.
So we have to think of that also. So we have to harness their local knowledge.
Yeah, that's why a lot of the Nepalese people these days are quite suspicious of all these foreigners coming with donations. A lot of them, they have the hidden agendas.
That's true.
Like even UN, they spend so much money in Nepal, but 75% they take back themselves. They come and they buy all those 4-wheel drives. They have all these project managers on $1,000 salary. And also in terms of like medical donations, actually some of those donations should be illegal. They're using Nepalese people as guinea pigs. That's right. A lot of pharmaceuticals, because they can't test them in their own country because of liability issue. So they donate to countries like Nepal, and then the people being used as guinea pigs.
That's right. And so much money is being used also for religious influence purposes.
True.
So if we know these things, I think we should name and shame them. Like, because we have the authority to do that. We are overseas.
That's
right.
That's right.
Sure, but the people there, they don't know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Taking advantage of people's naiveness, and then the economic poverty and all that.
And the other problem in Nepal is, because I'm looking at more holistically, helping, how can we develop Nepal? The main reason is the land ownership is really skewed towards few people who own a lot of land. So unless there's a political cultural shift in land redistribution, because land means power, authority. They have the incentive to do something, but people are, majority of people are small landholders, so it's very difficult. So there has to be some structural changes as well. If we're really thinking long term, how we can develop Nepal, because that aspect has to be looked into and properly addressed by Nepalese government, I suppose, and National Planning Commission and things like that.
But that will require a big political shift, I think.
That's true.
A bit difficult to make it happen.
It is, but I just thought I'd put this point across, because what we're doing is ad hoc. There has to be some structural changes. Otherwise, it'll be the same thing. There'll be people who come out of poverty. It is happening anyway. But if we really have in our heart to have the whole nation develop, those changes must occur.
We talk so much about being the agriculture oriented, stream agriculture and all that, but when you look at into the real perspective, it's much of the agriculture is just to look after their own family, right? It's the commerciality is very less. Now, few returnees, like people going back from Korea and from Israel and even from Australia and few other countries, are taking the experience and a little bit of wealth and the confidence. They're doing good job. Like in Vairava, there is the college farming, right? The big one, one college gives so much of meat. That one, people doing avocado farming, kiwi, And then in Avu, I saw one just the vegetable farming. They're doing a lot of innovative minds growing up.
Yeah, a lot of things happening there.
But in the context of Nepal, for a person that is not any like a professional at university degree level or anything, for average person with limited money to be able to earning like 5 lakh, 6 lakh per month, that's a decent income. With that, you can have a decent lifestyle in Nepal, isn't it? And there are a lot of people now coming out, they're doing that, and one of the obstacles, like I said, is the land ownership is the issue. It requires the government policy. Even though if they can, giving away land would be hard, but at least if you're not using it, you better give it, and these are the rules that you can follow to giving it away, and this is how you get your money back. Either sell it or lease it. Don't just hold and block and just let it be like doing nothing. In that, it's not too hard for the government to intervene. The other thing is like using everywhere to plot and build. They're bringing some policies. They're trying. That is one area. They should we have zoning here. Doesn't matter. If we could go and build everywhere in Australia, 99% of Australia is not used. Right? We can't do that unless it's serviced, unless all the amenities are there and all that. So these kind of rules. And that's one area, particularly the architects and people like you could influence the policymakers because the profession is same anyway, even in Nepal, and the policymakers have to take advice from someone. In planning commission, there are like the architectural representation is there, and then in the urban development and all that.
It's more of a political will. Those structural changes are really political will. A
lot of politicians, ministers come here and they cruise around and go, and they're really not into learning new things. I had a couple of them actually, the ministers, they're telling me, I was quite amazed to hear that. They said, look, you guys are here, you see a lot of these things which only read and watch in the television. What about you guys compile this and feed to us so that we know at least how things should be done? I was really impressed hearing only 2 out of many we would have welcomed them in Australia over the years, but 2 said that actually.
Yeah, some of the simple things they can just copy from here. I think even Modi, from India, when he went somewhere overseas, he saw bus lanes. And he copied that idea in India, and it worked wonderfully. I don't know why they didn't think about it before. Right. Actually, we're talking about sending money to Nepal, helping Nepal, and all, but in some cases, there's so much money flowing into Nepal these days, and the money is getting onto wrong hands, or maybe even the families, they're getting a lot of remittance from overseas, and they are not using that money properly, you hear so many stories where the wife running away with another man, or the sons, going to nightclubs, there's been a lot of negative social issues impact as well, right? Can we actually, influence the Nepalese government to come up with some maybe remittance bond or something where, the NRN people can send money and it can be invested into bonds, instead of giving it to their family, who might misuse it because the family members, like wives, are not educated, kids not mature enough. They can send money to Nepal but invest in a government bond.
It's happening actually now. Things like this, it's hard from the individual level, like one person, how much influence they can make, right? They can, but it's a slow process. But institutional level, and this is where this NRNA, like a global organization of this size, scale, nature, influence, can play the role. Yes, it is happening in that direction. Not so much only thinking. Very good point you raised in a public platform, which is very good. That's a social thing to address. We were more thinking from the social as well as economic viewpoint as well. Particularly, people in Australia, in UK, in New Zealand, in Canada, in US, in Europe even, they would have at least sizable money, right? They could do, few people together, they could do some impactful thing. But people, particularly in those countries where the workers and with lesser of education, they go like Malaysia or the Middle East or in some African countries like that. They go for as little as 15,000 Nepalese rupees per month and working in those extreme conditions, like in the deserts, in those extreme temperatures and all that. Okay. And then, can you imagine a situation someone goes there, works 3 years, 4 years, and then with the hope to bring about changes in their lives, and then when they go back home and they realize only to find out that's what happened. Someone ran away with some, and then the kids got into wrong habit, and they're not the usual kids anymore. Got into drugs, and that's beyond comprehension, right? Yeah. This is where we can help and make changes. Yes. There are like investment vehicles being generated. Right at the moment, NRNA is leading, our president is leading one of those, thus Arab investment fund. The whole idea is up to 85% to be invested from NRNs, like people, us outside of Nepal, and they can invest as little as, when it rolls out fully. At the moment, it is in the composing stage, like steering stage. It is rolling out eventually. Government has promised to invest 15% on it, and then that money will be invested towards more like infrastructure projects, not so much that a deposit and giving money like the usual banks do, but more into the infrastructure, more the development, whether it is agriculture or bridge or this or all those things. And then obviously it will be very similar to banking, except not just like a passive way of using money, more active. And the whole idea is that. And then there are other friends using like a Hazare Avian, one of our friends in the Bahrain, he calls it, and then we've been talking that for a long period of time. The reason he called Hazare Avian is at least 1,000 Nepalese rupees anyone can invest. If they want to invest more, they can. And then their hard-earned money goes in invested, gets in a sizable fund, gets invested, gets the return, and then the whole and then certain social insurance comes out of that as well. Like a lot of them, they lose their hands, their feet, their life, and then their loved ones are left with no money like that to rescue from that situation in an insurance concept as well. So that's another. So it's happening to some extent. Yeah,
that's good.
They do it so well in like Singapore, Malaysia.
Yeah. How do they do it?
They, basically the government, collects all this money from the citizens, and then they invest that money. They can sell the bonds to private investors, or they can invest the money in infrastructure. Like for example, the Optus was bought by the Singaporean government. Yeah. How did they do that? The government doesn't have money of their own. Yeah. They get it from the citizens, right?
Actually, if you got some concrete like a model available, or if you can point out to that direction, feed into us, let's feed into together to the government. We are in a position to actually pass it on to government directly, and then when we pass it through our formal channel, we can make them listen, and they will be interested. There are some people in government, not all, not majority, but some people in bureaucracy who are willing to listen, all these new things, innovative ideas and skills. And I must say, some people in formal government as well, in the ministries as well, they are really keen to get those ideas. If you got some models, let's talk more, and then let's formalize, and that can be one of the things that we can do as a skill transfer.
Sure. Yeah. But is it true that the Nepalese government is a little bit jealous of NRN? They think that because we are trying to get the best of both worlds. We already have comfortable life out here. We got all the facilities, and we want to come to Nepal, and again we demand other facilities.
Not so much the government itself. Government is a big terminology, as you know, but in the people level, one of the reasons when we were kind of lobbying in the initial days of this citizenship. Initially, we of course asked for with political right. Like, let's just treat them. These people outside of Nepal, which is us all, they all went outside of Nepal because in search of the opportunity. Our generation, we came because there was this fighting going on in Nepal. We came for a couple of years, and we happened to that rolled out for too long, and we just had to stay. And when you're here 10, 12 years already. And then your kids grown up and raised here, then even though you wanted, you can't go that easy, right? So that's our generation. And then, by all means, before I came to Nepal, Australia, I was working for UMN, United Mission in Nepal. I had a good job, and not just a job for me. Obviously, I was giving back to the, as much as well to the community, that kind of thing. We had, and then you had yours. We would have done well in Nepal as well, and good for the country as well, right? Not to say, people like us, few limited people, probably we're doing as much, even being outside of Nepal. We haven't forgotten Nepal like that. These people should not be penalized simply because they had to go away in search of opportunities or job. These are the people sustaining the economy as a whole.
Yeah, exactly.
So, the remittance is the main chunk of the whole revenue stream of the budget in Nepal, isn't it? So they should not be penalized. That school of thought is there. But in another school of thought, like I said, there are limited people. There are always people with their own little narrow vested interest.
Okay.
If these people they got the education, they got the exposure, they got the experience, they got a little bit of money as well, then if they came, all of a sudden we have to compete with them. Look, I would not rule out that element was there,
right.
And that's why even in the initial days of our constitutional rights, we had to juggle a bit, but they were more good people than the bad people. That's how we got it. Otherwise, it would not have been impossible. People in power, people in bureaucracy, and then our diaspora's continuous effort, our leadership's continuous effort. That was possible, but now for any country to prosper, we should learn from others who have been there and done that. China did it, India did it. We don't need to go that far. They simply, with one single policy of putting red carpet or welcoming back gesture to their diaspora, they did not have to wait that long towards prosperity. India, same thing happened. Big size money. Simply to convince one Australian, to convince one Australian to invest 100,000 rupees dollar in Nepal, how much time and effort you would need to spend, and to invest people like you and me, or everyday general type Nepali, $100,000 in Nepal, they would just do in a blink.
Yeah.
Just give you a little bit of reasonable project with reasonable security and reasonable return. They would just do in a blink.
Sure.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And what's the limit? Sky is the limit. You said at the beginning in the intro that our diaspora is that strong. Out of those 80 lakh people outside of Nepal, outside of SAARC countries, at least a good 20 lakh, they can invest, every single of them 20 lakh, they can invest at least $100,000, $200,000, and there are people can invest in millions of dollars.
I think you were concerned because the Constitution came out in 2072, and it is 2077, and yet it has not been formulated. So I think you're alluding to the fact maybe that's why it has not been enacted. It's in the Constitution.
Yeah, people have been talking about it for so long, and we're not seeing the results yet,
So somebody's trying to put the brakes on that?
Yeah.
Look, I personally get good number of calls every year from close friends as well who are not in this mainstream update or anything. They just work, they happy like that. Hey, what is happening with this relationship? They're interested as well. Not only so much for their own thing, but these people, if those laws are made very simple, transparent, easy to work with, they're interested to invest. A lot of them, they're interested to go back, invest, be resident there as well, and do a sizable work. I know at least a couple of friends, they working in a industrial scale manufacturing business. They want to roll out that there. They're only interested in the investment related matters, easy to take the dollars there, and then easy to repatriate. How good is that? It has, not to say nothing has happened. It is there. You can invest as a FDI, foreign direct investment company, and then you can expatriate your money, your profit or dividend. You can take out in there. You just toss in the remittance thing. For example, for you to be able to repatriate, to take back your earnings, the flow of money has to be done in the transparent way, correct way. If you took money through the formal channels, you can take it back through formal channels.
Right.
Where the trap is a lot of people, they just do the easy thing.
Yeah,
And then you can't blame those people either. I wouldn't even blame those people that helping transferring the money either. Hey, government, give the formal channels, make them easy. And we're telling, I'm not just telling in here, we tell the government as well.
Yeah.
And they're listening in a lot of sense as well, but a lot more to be done. If you make those above table channels more workable, more convenient, why would people go in the other channels?
Yeah.
Publicize your good
Even
channels.
simple things like, in Nepal, you can't even have a PayPal account.
Yeah.
And we all live in a global economy. We can do business with anyone in the world these days.
Yeah.
And in Nepal, you can't have PayPal account because you can't have a dollar account.
There was an argument I heard in one of these discussions that someone said with government people as well, 2 billion worth of money goes in outside of Nepal, just to Australia. They said back in 2018, and I said, I called that person, hey, you said 2 billion. First, give me that magic calculator that where you counted, how good calculator you have to say 2 billion goes to Australia.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say you did the good job in the first part. What about how much money goes back from Australia to Nepal? If you properly use your calculator, at least 5 times more. Right? We all know. We came with empty suitcase here in this country. $500 in pocket. How much we have done there? You measure it. Just we don't need to go outside, just in this room. Right? A lot more, many-fold, 50-fold than what we brought. And we've done the right thing in Australia. We have paid tax. We have generated employment. Right? We've done the right thing by the Australian government, Australian society, Australian community, everyone. And we've done the right thing by Nepali people as well. We've been generating employment there. Right? We're paying tax over there. And then we're looking after at least because of us alone, at least 50 people surrounding us would have looked after them to the extent that we could. Isn't it? And that's every household's story. This one is. Every household's story. And then people not counting, not looking that part, and then they're just promoting and advertising, this much money going outside. What the government should be focusing.
Probably they're just looking at the actual stats of the Rashtra Bank.
Exactly.
But in reality, most of the money from here goes to Hong Kong, Singapore, only here.
Get that money into the radar.
Yeah.
Get
They have to look at the black economy as well.
Make everyone pay their fair share of tax.
That's right.
Use the tax money into the right places.
Yeah.
That's what the government's job is. Not so much bragging about this much money is going out, and then at one point in past there was even discussion, we should not let people go study outside of Nepal. Hey, 21st century. You want to restrict people with their choices. If they restricted us, we wouldn't be here where we are today, isn't it?
Sure.
And we don't want to restrict our children either on what they want to do for the good. And then why should people living in Nepal restrict their children from what they want to do? This is the opportunity, global opportunity marketplace. People want to make their children the best out of the best. They want to give every available opportunity in the world.
Yeah, I had a similar discussion with one of my other guests before. Like I asked, whether is it okay for Australia to steal those people like you from Nepal, developing country like Nepal, because Nepal needs you more. And she gave me a really good response actually. It's not actually stealing. You're actually giving opportunity to those people to come here, gain foreign experience, make money. And they can always go back later and help Nepal if they want to.
Yeah. And on that, I heard Modi, when he was here in the Olympic arena, I heard him saying, and it was really clicking, before our Nepal's relationship went sour, we were there. And then he was saying, hey, dhire dhire we would make the world reliant on our dialogue. We will send so many educated dialogue to the world that they can't run their system, they can't function without our...
Right.
It's already
happening.
It's already happening.
Look at the CEO of Google, Microsoft, all
You just watch the news, you just watch CNN. There's so many legal experts.
The advances to them is, like when you are a Microsoft CEO, when you are a Google CEO, would you do anything wrong to where you grew up? That's the advantage to them anyway. And they could go and simply produce more. The population is one of the world's 1/6 population. And in Nepal as well, why could we not produce more of them? Let's produce more of architects, award-winning architects. Why restrict them going away? They can go and then even if they use little bit of like 1% of their intellect and experience and wealth back home, they would anyway. The country would benefit anyway, right? There was this guy, I think Rajendra Shrestha something name, came back from Germany. I was watching in the YouTube show, wonderful story, architect, he came back, development studies and all that, worked with GDJ. And what he's into it is, he is, all these old style rotten houses in Bhaktapur in Patan area.
Yeah, I saw that documentary too.
You saw that?
He's already built like over 100 traditional homes.
Right? And then he was saying he made his 20 crore, he was benchmark, and then half of that he gave to the charity. To his own charity, and then he's doing even more, educating those people, producing more those art people.
Yeah, he's set up a vocational college, training people to make those artifacts, like carvings.
If at that time those our people of that old mindset, old skilling, they restricted him to go away, learn and come back, they would have stopped all that. It's not about brain drain. It's not about restricting people in their movement and opportunity. It's about empowering and attracting them and producing more, right? Like that would help the whole in a scalable size. The literacy would be higher, people would be educated. When educated, the violence would go down. Economy, every household would sustain on themselves. The government would not need to pump more money into. It's simple mathematics. It's not rocket science.
Like I said in the beginning, we are global citizens.
Absolutely.
So we shouldn't just look at very conservatively saying Nepalese and Australians. We're humanity. We're global citizens. So we have to look at humankind.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely right.
I think with that note, probably we should end our discussion. We touched so many topics. I think it was so interesting. We didn't notice the time fly by. Thank you very much for your time, for coming all the way.
Thank you for having us.
For your insights. Thank you. I think we should do chats like this more in the future on different topic maybe. Right. So I think that's all for today. Thank you very much for your audience, and we look forward to seeing you again in a few weeks with another topic. Thank you. Namaste.